I was standing in the middle of my cousin's engagement party when my Aunt Patricia made the announcement. The music had just stopped. Everyone was holding champagne glasses, waiting for toasts. Patricia tapped her glass with a fork, smiling wide. "I want to thank everyone for coming tonight to celebrate Heather and Brandon. Family means everything to us." She looked around the room, making eye contact with each person. Then her gaze landed on me and slid right past, like I was wallpaper. "Our family has always valued excellence, hard work, success, and I'm so proud that Heather has found someone who shares those values." She raised her glass. "To the happy couple. May they build a life as prosperous and beautiful as they deserve." Everyone cheered, clinked glasses. I stood there in my department store dress, holding sparkling cider because I'd driven myself and felt the familiar weight of being invisible. My cousin Heather walked over after, her engagement ring catching the light like a spotlight. "Thanks for coming, Iris. I know these events aren't really your thing." Translation: "I know you can't afford to fit in here." I looked around that country club ballroom, taking in every detail. The ice sculptures, the live string quartet, the champagne tower that probably cost more than my monthly rent. My family was everywhere. Uncles in custom suits, aunts in designer gowns, cousins networking and name-dropping and performing success like it was an Olympic sport. And me, I was Iris Montgomery, 35 years old, high school English teacher, making $52,000 a year, living in a rental apartment with furniture from Facebook Marketplace. I was the family charity case, the one they whispered about at Christmas. Poor Iris, she never quite figured it out. Remember when she wanted to be a writer? That didn't work out? Teaching is nice, I suppose, for people with no ambition. What they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I controlled $20 billion. Not inherited, not lucky, earned. Through a tech startup I'd co-founded at 23, an app that revolutionized digital education. We'd sold it 7 years ago for $18 billion. My share, $11 billion. After investments and careful management, $20 billion. And I'd never told a single person in my family. Not one. My name is Iris Montgomery, and I've been hiding my wealth for 7 years. When my company, LearnStream, sold to a massive tech conglomerate, my business partner Quinn and I became billionaires overnight. We were 28 years old. The press called us the Education Revolution. Forbes put us on their cover. But I hated the attention, the scrutiny, the way people treated me differently the moment they knew I had money. So I disappeared, changed my phone number, moved to a different city, started teaching under my middle name, built a life that looked absolutely ordinary. My family had no idea. They knew I'd worked at a tech company in my 20s. They knew I'd done okay, but they assumed I'd burned out like so many startup people do, that I'd taken some payout and moved on to teaching because I couldn't hack it in the real world. I let them believe it, because I wanted to know who they were when they thought I was nobody. And for 7 years, they showed me exactly that. After Heather's engagement party, I drove home to my small apartment. 1 bedroom, street parking, a radiator that clanked all night in winter. I made tea, sat on my secondhand couch, and called Quinn. "How's the simple life?" they asked, amused. "Humiliating? You could end this any time." "I know," Quinn sighed. "Iris, you've proven your point. Your family treats you like garbage because they think you're poor. We get it. When are you going to tell them?" "When they push too far." "And when is that?" I stared at my reflection in the dark window. "I'll know when it happens." Quinn had taken a different path. They lived openly wealthy, penthouse in Manhattan, private jet, the whole thing. But they also cut off their toxic family years ago. I wasn't ready to do that. Not yet. I still had this stubborn hope that somewhere underneath the classism and judgment, my family actually cared about me. I was wrong, but I hadn't admitted it yet. 2 months after the engagement party, my parents invited me to Sunday dinner. Just the 3 of us. I thought maybe they wanted quality time. I was wrong. We sat in their formal dining room, the one they only used for important occasions. My mother served salmon. My father poured wine. Then they got to the point. Iris, we need to talk about your future. I set down my fork. Okay. My father leaned back, folding his hands. You're 35, still teaching, still renting. No husband, no children, no real career trajectory. I have a career. I'm a teacher. My mother touched my hand. Sweetheart, teaching is lovely. For a few years. But you need to think bigger. Your cousins are all doing so well. I'm doing well. Iris. My father's tone sharpened. You're barely making ends meet. We've been discussing it, and we'd like to help you. Help me how? We'll fund a master's degree, business, law, medicine, something that leads to actual earning potential. My mother added, we can't keep watching you struggle. It reflects poorly on all of us. I sat there, letting their words sink in. It reflects poorly on all of us. There it was. The truth. They weren't worried about me. They were worried about their image. I'm not struggling, I said quietly. You live in a rental, my father countered. I choose to live in a rental. You drive a 10-year-old car? It runs fine. My mother sighed dramatically. Iris, pride isn't going to pay your bills. Accept our help. Go back to school. Make something of yourself. Make something of myself. Like I was nothing. Like teaching wasn't noble. Like helping kids learn to love reading wasn't valuable. I wanted to tell them right then, to explain that I had more money than they'd see in 10 lifetimes, that I'd already made something of myself, that their judgment meant nothing. Instead, I said, I'll think about it. They looked relieved, like they'd done their duty. I left before dessert, sat in my old car in their circular driveway, surrounded by their manicured lawn and perfect hedges, and called my financial advisor, Simon Wright. I need to make some moves. Over the next year, I started quietly buying things, not for me, for leverage. I bought the building where my uncle's law firm leased office space. I bought shares in my cousin's husband's company. I bought the country club where my family held all their events. I didn't announce it, didn't make it public. I just positioned myself in the background of their lives, holding strings they couldn't see. My family kept treating me the same, pitying me, offering unsolicited advice, making jokes at my expense at every gathering. My cousin Preston got promoted at his firm. Big celebration. I came in my teacher clothes. He made a toast. Here's to success, and to those still figuring it out. He looked at me. Everyone laughed. I smiled. Took a sip of wine. Let them think whatever they wanted. Meanwhile, I just donated $50 million to public schools across 3 states. Anonymously. Built libraries. Funded teacher salaries. Changed thousands of lives. But to my family, I was still just struggling, Iris. The teacher. The disappointment. The breaking point started at my grandmother's funeral. She died at 92. Beautiful service. Huge turnout. Everyone in the family attended. We gathered at her house afterward. Her massive old money estate. The kind of place with oil paintings and antique furniture and rooms nobody ever used. The lawyer, Mr. Brennan, arrived with her will. We all sat in the library. He read through the bequests. $500,000 to Preston. $300,000 to Heather. $400,000 to Uncle Charles. On and on. My name didn't come up, not once. Then Mr. Brennan cleared his throat. And to Iris Montgomery, who never asked me for anything, who visited every week without fail, who loved me without condition. He paused. I leave my entire art collection. The room went silent. My grandmother had one of the finest private art collections in the state. Impressionists, modernists, pieces worth tens of millions. My Aunt Patricia laughed. Actually laughed. The art collection? What is Iris going to do with that? She can't even afford to insure it. My Uncle Charles nodded. We should sell it. Split the proceeds among everyone. Mr. Brennan interrupted. The will is explicit. The collection goes to Iris. Unconditionally. I sat there, feeling every eye in the room on me. They weren't looking at me with happiness. They were looking at me with resentment. This doesn't make sense, Preston said. Grandmother knew Iris couldn't handle this. She can't even afford the estate tax, Heather added. My father spoke up. Iris, be reasonable. Let us help you liquidate the collection. We'll make sure you get a fair share. They were already planning how to take it from me. Mr. Brennan handed me an envelope. Your grandmother left you a letter. I opened it with shaking hands. Her handwriting was elegant, even at the end. Dearest Iris, I know the truth about your success. I've always known. You are the only one in this family who understands that wealth without character is worthless. The art is yours. Do with it what you will. But know that I left it to you because you're the only one who truly sees beauty. All my love, grandmother. I folded the letter carefully, looked up at my family. They were waiting for me to cry, to thank them, to ask for help. Instead, I said, the collection stays with me. And I walked out. My family lost their minds. Phone calls, texts, emails, all saying the same thing. I was being selfish, unreasonable, irresponsible. My Aunt Patricia left a voicemail. Your grandmother would be disappointed in your greed, Iris. My Uncle Charles sent an email threatening legal action. That collection belongs to the family. My cousin Preston showed up at my apartment unannounced. I didn't let him in. He stood in the hallway, trying to reason with me. Iris, you're making a huge mistake. You can't afford to keep this art. Let us help you. I don't need help. Stop being proud. You're a teacher. You make nothing. I closed the door in his face, called Mr. Brennan. How do I protect the collection? It's already protected. Your grandmother made sure of that. But Iris. Yes? She also left you something else. Something she told me to give you only if your family reacted exactly as they did. He sent me another document, a letter my grandmother had written to her financial advisor 5 years ago, authorizing them to share information with me. Information about the family trust, the one my aunts and uncles were living off, the one that funded their lifestyles. My grandmother had been the primary trustee, and in her will, she'd named a successor, me. I sat in Mr. Brennan's office the next day, staring at documents I couldn't quite process. I control the family trust? You're the sole trustee now. You have complete authority over distributions. How much is in it? $42 million. It generates about $2 million a year in income. Your aunts and uncles each receive substantial quarterly payments. My head spun. They don't know I'm the trustee now. Not yet. I'll notify them this week. I thought about my Aunt Patricia's cruelty, my Uncle Charles's threats, my cousin's entitlement. What happens if I stop their distributions? Mr. Brennan raised his eyebrows. That would be within your legal right as trustee, but Iris, that's a nuclear option. They've spent 7 years treating me like garbage because they thought I was poor. Maybe it's time they experienced what that actually feels like. Are you sure? I thought about every snide comment, every dismissive look, every time they'd made me feel small. Yes, cut them off, all of them. Mr. Brennan nodded slowly. I'll prepare the paperwork. The notifications went out on a Friday, formal letters from Mr. Brennan's office. Due to restructuring of the family trust, your quarterly distributions are hereby suspended indefinitely. My phone exploded. 27 missed calls in an hour. Voicemails that went from confused to angry to desperate. Iris, there must be a mistake. Call me back. What the hell did you do? You can't do this. We have bills. I didn't answer. I just waited. My Aunt Patricia showed up at my school. Actually came to my classroom during my planning period. She looked frantic, hair messy, makeup smudged. Iris, we need to talk. I'm working. This is more important. You suspended our trust payments. I'm the trustee. I'm allowed to do that. Why would you do this to your family? I looked at her. Really looked at her. Because you've spent years treating me like I was worthless. Maybe now you'll understand how that feels. Her face twisted. You're doing this out of spite? No, I'm doing this to teach you something. She left threatening legal action. But she had no case. The trust was ironclad. I had complete authority. Within a month, The cracks started showing. My Uncle Charles's Porsche got repossessed. Preston had to take his kids out of private school. Heather postponed her wedding. My parents cut back on their country club membership. The whole family was scrambling. And I watched. Not with joy, with something colder. Clarity. They called a family meeting, demanded I attend. I went. Walked into my parents' house, where 15 relatives sat in the living room, all staring at me. My father stood up. "Iris, this has gone far enough. Whatever point you're trying to make, you've made it. Turn the trust back on." "No." My Aunt Patricia stood. "We're your family." "Family doesn't treat each other the way you've treated me." My cousin Preston stepped forward. "We were just joking around. You're too sensitive." "Joking? You've called me a failure for 7 years, made fun of my job, my apartment, my life, and now that you need me, suddenly it was all jokes." Silence. My mother tried a softer approach. "Iris, sweetheart, we love you. We've always loved you." "Then why did you offer to pay for my education? Because my career reflects poorly on you." She flinched. I continued. "I don't need your love now. I needed it 7 years ago, when I was building something, when I needed support. You weren't there." "Where were you 7 years ago?" my Uncle Charles asked. This was it. The moment I'd been avoiding and anticipating for 7 years. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, handed it to my father. "What is this?" He looked at the screen. His face went white. "This can't be right." "It is." My mother looked over his shoulder. $20 billion? "Yes." The room erupted, everyone talking at once. "That's impossible." "Where did this come from?" "Is this real?" I waited for the noise to die down. Then I explained. 7 years ago, I co-founded LearnStream. We sold it for $18 billion. My share was $11 billion. After investments and growth, I now control $20 billion. My cousin Heather was crying. "You've been rich this whole time?" "Yes." Preston stood up. "And you let us think you were poor?" "I didn't let you think anything. You assumed. I just didn't correct you." My Aunt Patricia's voice was shrill. "Why would you do that?" "Because I wanted to know who you really were, what you really valued, whether you'd love me without money." I looked at each of them. "And you showed me, every single one of you." My Uncle Charles found his voice first. "So this whole thing, the trust, the art collection, everything, this is revenge?" "No, this is consequences." My father set down my phone. "Iris, if you had just told us." "Told you what? That I had money. So you could treat me well because of that, instead of treating me well because I'm your family?" My mother was crying now. "We didn't know." "Exactly. You didn't know I had money, so you treated me like I was worthless. That tells me everything I need to know about your values." Heather stood up. "I'm sorry. We're all sorry. Please just turn the trust back on." "We'll be better." "I'm sure you will be, now that you know I'm rich." I picked up my bag. "But here's the thing. I don't want people who are nice to me because I'm wealthy. I want people who are kind because they're good. And none of you are." My cousin Preston blocked the door. "You can't just destroy our lives over this." "I'm not destroying anything. I'm just removing the safety net you've been living on. The same safety net you thought I didn't deserve. Now you get to experience life without it, just like you wanted me to." I pushed past Preston and left. Drove home in silence. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from adrenaline. I'd finally said it. All of it. The truth I'd been holding for 7 years. That night, my phone rang constantly. I blocked every number. My parents tried to come to my apartment. I didn't answer the door. My Aunt Patricia sent a 12-page email explaining how they were victims of class conditioning and deserved grace. I deleted it without finishing. For 2 weeks, it was chaos. Then it got quiet. The family realized I wasn't changing my mind. They stopped calling, stopped texting, stopped showing up. I'd become invisible to them again. But this time, I'd chosen it. I didn't reinstate the trust, not all of it. After 3 months, I created a new structure. Each family member could apply for funds. They had to submit what they needed and why. Like a grant application. It was humiliating for them. Demeaning. Exactly what they'd made me feel like my entire life. My Uncle Charles applied for help with his mortgage. I approved it. But not the full amount. Just enough to make him struggle. My Aunt Patricia applied for her country club dues. I denied it. She didn't need it. She wanted it. There's a difference. 6 months after everything exploded, my father reached out. Not asking for money, asking to talk. We met at a coffee shop, neutral territory. He looked older. Tired. Iris, I'm not here to beg. Good. He stirred his coffee. I'm here to apologize. Really apologize. I waited. I spent your whole life measuring success by money, status, what people thought, and I taught you that love was conditional, that you had to achieve certain things to matter. His voice cracked. I was wrong. You mattered before the billions. You mattered when you were teaching. You've always mattered, and I failed to show you that. I felt tears coming. Why couldn't you see that before? Because I was raised the same way. My father only loved me when I succeeded. And I passed that poison on to you. He looked at me. I'm sorry for all of it. I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know. I wiped my eyes. I needed to hear that 7 years ago. I know. We sat in silence for a while. Then I said, I'm not turning the trust back on fully. I understand. But I'm not cutting you off completely either. I don't deserve your grace. No, but I'm giving it anyway. Not for you, for me. Because I don't want to be the person who holds grudges forever. Over the next year, my family slowly split into 2 groups, the ones who changed and the ones who didn't. My father went to therapy, started volunteering, actually worked on himself. My mother followed his lead. They were trying. Awkward, messy, imperfect trying, but trying nonetheless. My Aunt Patricia doubled down. Posted on social media about being financially abused by a vindictive family member. She never named me, but everyone knew. She lost friends, lost credibility, lost the image she'd spent decades building. My Uncle Charles declared bankruptcy. Not because I cut him off completely, I'd given him enough to survive, but because he'd been living so far beyond his means for so long that even a 50% reduction destroyed him. Preston moved to a smaller house, started working harder, stopped acting entitled. Heather's wedding happened, but smaller, simpler. She apologized to me in person. I believed her. Some relationships were salvageable, others weren't. I was learning to tell the difference, and I was okay with that. 2 years after the revelation, I did something unexpected. I started a foundation, not anonymously this time, publicly. The Montgomery Foundation for Educational Equity, $500 million to start. We funded public schools, paid teacher salaries, bought supplies, built libraries. Everything I'd been doing anonymously, I now did openly. The press loved it. Former teacher turned billionaire gives back. My family saw the articles. My father called. I'm proud of you, Iris. Really proud. It was the first time he'd said that in my entire life. My mother sent flowers with a note. You're doing what I wish we'd done. Thank you for showing us what real success looks like. My Aunt Patricia posted one of the articles with the caption, So proud of my niece. I didn't respond. Some people change because they've learned. Others change because they want to look good. You can usually tell which is which. Meanwhile, I kept teaching. Not because I had to. Because I loved it. 3 days a week. My students had no idea I was a billionaire. They just knew I cared about them. That was enough. 3 years post-revelation, I bought a house. Not a mansion. A beautiful 4-bedroom craftsman in a quiet neighborhood. Garden, front porch, space to breathe. I hosted my first family dinner there. Small guest list. My parents. My father's brother, Uncle Warren, who'd always been kind. Heather and her new husband. People who'd earned a seat at my table. We ate lasagna I'd made myself. Drank wine from the grocery store. Talked about real things. Books, politics, life, not money, not status, just connection. My mother helped me clean up afterward. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I wish I'd known you like this before." Like what? Without all the noise, just you. You're wonderful, Iris. I hugged her. Not because everything was fixed, because some things were healing. That was enough. That night, I sat on my porch with tea, looking at the stars, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not because I'd proven anything, because I'd finally stopped trying to. 4 years later, my cousin Preston reached out. Not for money, to apologize properly. We met at a park. He brought his kids. "Iris, I was a terrible cousin to you." "Yes. I'm trying to teach my kids differently, to value people over possessions, and I realized I can't teach what I don't know. So I'm learning." He looked at his children playing on the swings. "I don't want them to grow up like I did, entitled, cruel, hollow." I watched the kids too. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing, just forgiveness, if you can." I thought about it. "I forgive you, but forgiveness doesn't mean we're close again. It just means I'm not carrying the weight of your mistakes anymore." He nodded. "That's fair." We watched his kids play for a while. Then he said something that surprised me. "I'm glad you did what you did. With the trust. With all of it. We needed it. I needed it. To see who I'd become. Are you better now?" "I'm trying to be." That was all anyone could ask. 5 years after everything changed, my Aunt Patricia died. Heart attack. Sudden. I went to the funeral. Not for her. For closure. Her children spoke about her generosity, her love, her dedication to family. They didn't mention the cruelty, the judgment, the shallow values. I wondered if they didn't see it or chose not to. After the service, her daughter Camille approached me. "Aunt Iris, thank you for coming." "Of course." She hesitated. "I know things were complicated between you and my mom." They were. She talked about you at the end, about regret, about wishing she'd been different. Camille's eyes filled with tears. She never said it to you, but she felt it. I believed her. But it didn't change anything. Patricia had a lifetime to be kind. She'd chosen cruelty instead. One deathbed regret didn't erase 35 years of dismissal. "Thank you for telling me," I said. And I meant it. But I didn't cry. Some losses don't create grief. They just create space. I'm 42 now. The foundation has helped over 200,000 students. We've built infrastructure in underserved communities, changed education policy, made real, lasting impact. My family and I are civil. Some relationships healed more than others. My parents and I have dinner monthly. It's real now, honest. They ask about my work, my life, my happiness. They don't talk about status or money or image. They've changed. Not perfectly, but genuinely. My brother Warren's kids call me Aunt Iris and actually mean it. They visit. We bake cookies. They don't care about money. They just care that I show up. That's the relationship I always wanted. Heather and I are friendly, surface level, but kind. Preston and I exchange Christmas cards. His kids are growing up better than he did. That matters. The others? Cut off. Permanently. Some people don't change, don't want to, and that's okay. I don't carry anger about it anymore. I just carry clarity. People ask me if I regret hiding my wealth for 7 years. I don't. Those 7 years taught me everything about my family, about human nature, about what really matters. My family treated me like garbage when they thought I was poor, and when they found out I was rich, they tried to rewrite history. But you can't unring that bell. You can't unsay 7 years of cruelty and expect instant forgiveness just because you found out your target is powerful. Some people learned, some didn't. I made peace with both outcomes. The money gave me options, freedom, the ability to help thousands of people. But it didn't make me who I am. My choices did. My character did. The way I treated people when I had nothing to gain from them. That's what mattered. And I wouldn't trade those 7 years of poverty for anything, Because they showed me the truth. And truth is always worth the cost of finding it. I let them humiliate me for 7 years, while I controlled $20 billion. And the day I revealed the truth, everything changed. But not the way they expected. They thought I'd forgive instantly, welcome them back with open arms, pretend the cruelty never happened. I didn't. I set boundaries, cut people off, made them experience the powerlessness they'd made me feel. Was it revenge? Maybe. Was it justice? Definitely. Now, 7 years after the revelation, I've built something beautiful. A foundation that matters. Relationships that are real. A life defined by purpose, not performance. My family learned that wealth without character is worthless, that kindness isn't conditional, that you don't get to treat people like garbage and expect forgiveness just because you discovered they're powerful. Some learned early, some learned late, some never learned at all. And I'm okay with that. Because I'm not the woman who needed their approval anymore. I'm the woman who built an empire in secret, watched them reveal themselves, and chose grace for myself, not for them. That's not weakness, that's power. Real, quiet, unshakable power. And $20 billion didn't give me that. I gave that to myself.